Ooh. Just gonna wait for some people to come on in. Hi.
Hello, how's everybody? So glad you can make it tonight.
Thank you for coming.
We are excited to be with you tonight. Welcome, welcome,
Hi,
welcome.
hi.
Yvette, it's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Good to see you there. Meemaw.
Hey,
Thank you
Meemaw.
for watching. Thank you for watching. Yeah.
Everybody.
Thank you so much. So glad you all are here.
Super excited.
Yeah.
Hi.
Right back at you, sis. Right back at you.
We'll give some people some time
Yeah.
to come on in.
Hope you all had a good day. Thank you, Meemaw. Good evening to you as well.
Hi.
Yes. It's been a beautiful day. We are excited to be with you tonight. We have a wonderful topic that's very informative, and we're really looking forward to sharing with you tonight.
Hi.
Hey, homegirl, what's going on? I'm so glad you got on with us. We're going to be talking about dealing with difficult
Hey,
people
Shay.
tonight.
Hey, girl.
Yeah.
Hey.
Much love
Hey,
to
Reverend
all of
Rosie
you.
here.
Hello.
Everybody coming in.
Yes. So good to see
you all.
everybody.
We're excited to talk about this tonight.
Yeah.
Hi. What are you guys doing? Last week I wanted to know, but I didn't ask. So this week I said I'm going to ask, are you walking? Are you cooking?
Yeah.
Are you sitting on the couch? What are you guys doing? We want to know. I know Meemaw's probably cooking.
You cooking, Meemaw?
Probably so. What y'all doing?
We know you're sharing your evening with us.
Right.
Along with whatever else you're doing, and that means a whole lot to us.
Right.
And so, without further ado, we are going to go ahead and get started.
Okay.
It's just good to be with you good people. Meemaw says she eating.
Aw.
Very good. We're happy to be having dinner with
Okay,
you.
Reverend Rosier says sitting and relaxing.
Yes.
I'm going like this. Does that mean I'm in eating glasses? I thought I
No,
could see.
you're doing all right.
Okay.
You're doing all right.
All right, good.
Hey, good people. We're so glad that you could join us for Wisdom Wednesday. And if you're like us, you need wisdom.
Right.
We know we need wisdom.
Right.
So we spent time this past week preparing, getting ourselves ready. Hey, homegirl, it's so good to see you. We got ourselves ready. We were preparing for our time with you tonight to really talk about some things related to wisdom. And so our topic tonight is dealing with difficult people. Anybody out there dealing with difficult people? Anybody?
Oh, Reverend Rosier said, I got a topic. I need y'all to help me out.
Okay, we got
DM
you.
it, and
we got you.
Shay said, I'm tuned in from DC,
Very good.
sitting on the couch, honey.
Oh, yes.
Ready to get this way. I know that's right,
Yes,
my girl.
this wisdom. If
Oh,
you
I'm
have
so
a
glad you're
topic
here.
that you want us to tackle,
Hey, Jay.
DM us. Let us know. We'll definitely
girl.
research and get ready for that, because
Yeah.
that's what this is about. It's about a collaboration.
Yeah.
It's about working together. If there's somebody that you're thinking of right now that would benefit from getting some wisdom that you want to share this with, or if you want to post it on your page and share it, we want to encourage you to do that. Judith, it's good to see you, lady. It's good to see you. Yes, we're talking about all things wisdom tonight. I'm Dr. Lakiba Williams. I am a licensed professional counselor, and I am an adult educator. And I bring you greetings from the beautiful city of Atlanta. Coming tonight talking about all things related to wisdom. In particular, we're going to be talking about dealing with difficult people. And I want to allow my co-host to introduce herself tonight.
Come on, co-host.
Yes.
I'm Lauren. I am a licensed associate professional counselor in Georgia. I'm also a psychotherapist for Fresh Hope Counseling Center as well.
Yes.
So we're excited to be here tonight.
Yes,
That's
we
me.
are. Yes, we are. And so in this capacity, we're coming tonight to offer wisdom. We have a disclaimer that we want to share with you. So Lauren's going to share that, and then we're going to dive right into it. So y'all stay tuned. We got some good stuff for you tonight.
Yeah, and if you are sitting there, send it to a couple people. They may be like, what did you just send me? Say, just open it, just watch.
Yes.
We're trying to expand our audience because this is some really good stuff.
It's good stuff.
So, but thank you for being here. We do want to
Yes.
say thank you guys for tuning in. All right, let's get started.
All right.
So the disclaimer, we're going to read it every time. In the future, we may just have it written up, because it's pretty lengthy, but... So this episode recording or live should not be used as a substitute for medical or mental health advice. Individuals are advised to seek independent medical advice, counseling, and or therapy from a healthcare professional with respect to any medical condition, mental health issue, or health inquiry, including matters discussed on this episode.
Yes.
I'm also going to read our mission statement. We read that as well because we feel like it's important for you guys to know our purpose for Wisdom Wednesday and what we're trying to do. What we are doing, I guess, not trying to do.
We out here.
With this. So I'll read it just so you guys, if this is your first time coming, or first time listening, you'll have an idea of what we are about. So our purpose for creating Wisdom Wednesday is to extend to you the wisdom that we have both acquired over the years from personal experience, academic theory, and research, and from our wonderful clients of whom we have the pleasure of walking through life with. We hope to create a safe space to encourage you to act wisely and to make the choices that best align with your values and lead you to your true self. Yes. So that is the purpose of Wisdom Wednesday.
Wisdom Wednesday.
Yeah. Hey, Ajmataj, girl. How you doing? Hey, girl. Okay.
All right.
Let's go.
So we'll dive into it. The question was posed earlier. We're going to pose it again. Hello, cousin. I'm so glad you're here. We're going to pose it again. Is anybody out there dealing with difficult people? Anybody dealing with difficult people?
I wish I could raise my legs up.
Anybody dealing with difficult people?
Yeah. Hey, Shay.
Yeah. Anybody out there like, dang, I wish somebody else was watching this so they could know what they needed to do for themselves to get themselves in line. Well, if they're not here, they're not here. But those of us that care about this type of thing, that care about social fitness, that care about learning to be able to deal with difficult people in a way that's healthy, this episode is for you. Yeah. Well, who are difficult people, Lauren?
Right. So when you guys think of difficult people, what comes up for you? So you can interact in the chat.
Yeah,
I see some hands raised. When you think about difficult people, what are some of the characteristics that difficult people have? And as you guys put them in the chat, we'll read them aloud so that the other platforms that we're on can hear it as well. Yeah. But we just wanted to put that out there. So we'll give you like a couple seconds just to get the fingers going. Tell us what you think difficult people, what they look like, what they act like, how they walk, how they talk, how do they interact. The last time that we presented something similar to this, I remember some people saying that difficult people were unwilling to come to a compromise. Yeah. So it's like my way or the highway type of people.
Work with.
Yeah, they're always right. Exactly. Yes. Absolutely. Can never be wrong. All right, Judah says, disagreeing just to disagree. No real point. Yeah. Right. No accurate information, Judith. Yeah. Just talking.
Cantankerous.
Right.
Yeah.
I just said stuck in our own ways. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. So I'll read this definition to you. Okay. Shay says, difficult peeps seem to have strong personalities. Yeah, they do. We'll talk about that as well, what that really means, what that really is. So as you're thinking about this characteristic, the characteristics of difficult people, you can continue to put them in the chat. Dr. Lakima and I came across this definition. Difficult people are ordinary people who cause hurricanes in our emotions. Yeah. So a lot of times when we have the difficult person in our mind, we almost think about them as like the villain in our story. So, the villain also has superpowers. They're not just this regular person walking around, this pedestrian. Yeah. They've got superpowers. They can fly too. They can shoot, laser beams or whatever they've got going on. We just allocate a lot of power to them.
We do.
But this definition says, and it's the one that we agreed upon and we think best describes difficult people. They're people that stir up hurricanes in our emotions and we're unsure what to do about them.
Yeah.
So that's what we wanted to offer you, just to start this out.
How does that land on you guys? when we say they stir up hurricanes,
Right.
is that landing on you? Are you thinking of some people like, yeah, it's one of those things where you want to be able to describe them, but you really can't. But one thing that really rings true for me is when you're around them, you just kind of feel off balance.
Yeah.
You feel like, I really can't relax around this person. Like, I don't feel like I can breathe easy around this person. This person makes it difficult for me to be. And really and truly, that's all we want to do is be. So because of the fact that they stir up these hurricanes, we got to figure out, well, how do we deal with these folks? First thing we want to do is we want to get some knowledge tonight, right? So we have an agenda. Tonight we're going to start with the knowledge. Then we're going to work our way to the understanding so we can know, why is this important? Well, to understand it, that tells us why it's important. After we understand it, we're going to get to the wisdom. So stay tuned. We're looking at going maybe about 25, 30 minutes. So we're not going to be long, but we do have some good stuff. First thing we want to talk about knowledge-wise is just to highlight what invalidation is. So invalidation is actually a form of psychological abuse that causes intense psychological pain. And maybe you're out there and you haven't thought about it that way. But when someone invalidates your feelings, your experience, that's a form of psychological abuse. That's why we feel thrown off. And that's why we feel like, oh my gosh, this feels like a whole lot of hurricanes. Talk about
off
it,
balance.
Yeah.
You know how it is. You kind of have to brace yourself, almost like you going into war.
Yeah.
You got to put on all your armor before
the breastplate.
Helmet of salvation.
The helmet of salvation.
Right now. But you feel like you have to just get prepared to interact with this person because you feel like you have to defend yourself, right? And so we always talk about the knowledge first. We want you to pay attention to how you feel when you leave here interacting with certain people, and some of the things that we've listed, some of the characteristics or some of the symptoms that we've described are coming up for you when you interact with certain people. We want you to pay attention to that. We'll talk about what to do with that. But we want you to start to begin to think about that.
We want you to key into it.
Yeah.
Because we put out there the definition, invalidation is a form of psychological abuse.
Right.
We also want to talk about the fact that invalidation is the process of denying, rejecting, or dismissing someone's feelings. So invalidation sends the message to another person that their subjective emotional experience is inaccurate, insignificant, or unacceptable.
Can you read those three again?
I know.
Can you read those three again?
Like, this invalidation sends the message that a person's subjective emotional experience is inaccurate, insignificant, and or unacceptable. The mitigated goal. For somebody to interact with you and tell you basically
your perspective, your experience.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so when we have an experience like that, it's almost like we have to back out of it and say, why is this coming up? And what do I need to do to make sure that I take care of myself? Right? Obviously, if that's happening, something unsafe is going on. And if we're in an experience and we've done that to somebody, come on, somebody. I mean, maybe you're out there and you're like, okay, I've said to somebody, you know what, be quiet, I don't want to hear it.
Right. I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah, we need to turn the magnifying glass on ourselves. And now we know that's a form of psychological abuse.
Right.
And we need to take good care of ourselves so that, our buttons aren't able to be pushed that way, okay? We want to get healthy. That's the purpose of this call. It's psychoeducation about being healthy in relationships so we can be socially fit. We're going to be physically fit, but we want to be socially fit as well.
Right.
Talk about the invalidator, Lauren.
Yeah, so tonight, because we can't diagnose anybody on this live or on this video, we are going to label the difficult person, if you will, the invalidator.
So we're not going to call the person the narcissist?
We're not going to call the person a narcissist.
Well, wait a minute. We will be doing an episode about dealing with narcissists. So,
right.
So just know that is coming.
Right.
And you don't, I mean, without the diagnosis, there are narcissistic traits.
Right.
And narcissists do a lot of invalidation. Mm-hmm. And it really feels a little off-putting, and you don't feel balanced when you're around that person. Mm-hmm. But tonight, we're going to call them invalidators tonight.
Right. This is what the invalidator looks like, y'all.
Oh my gosh! Look at that face!
All scratched up and nasty. So an invalidator is a person who uses various suppressive mechanisms to chop away at your self-esteem, your sense of self, your sense of being, right? They pretend to acknowledge something you're proud of and then later make some negative insinuation about it. So let's say you felt like you performed well in something, a presentation for work, and you sent, the invalidator the video of it. They texted you, they were proud of you. Later on that night, you start to have a conversation with the invalidator, and then they kind of flip the script and start critiquing you, right? That completely that's the opposite of the experience that you had earlier, right? So that's just an example of it. They feel out what you think your shortcomings are. I'm going to read that again.
They sniff it out, like they're around us.
Right.
And they see, oh, well, you're sensitive about this. Mm-hmm. Or this right here is a trigger for you.
Yeah.
Or your background is this, so you're susceptible to me saying this.
Right.
And then it'll
It's a real
hurt your
thing.
feelings.
It's a real thing. So if you're out there and you think that people like this don't exist, people don't just sit around and try to figure out what your weaknesses are. That's not a real thing. You're making it up. We're here to tell you that it's true and it's real, and your experience is validated in this space. Can I get an amen? Amen. 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 So there are some general traits that seem common among invalidators. So these traits also exist in others. So they are not only invalidators. We call these 3 traits the trilogy.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read them to you, and I want you guys to remember this. When you think about invalidators in your life, when you experience invalidators, or when you are, checking yourself, making sure that you're in line, these are the 3 traits that the invalidators possess. Ego, and ego. No, I'm just playing. Ego is just the first one. And we all know about ego. The first one is ego.
They operate in ego. We all have an ego, which is the self-concept.
Right.
It's where we spend a lot of time thinking about the self that we want to present to the world. Mm-hmm. Not our true self, but the self that we want to present to the world. Mm-hmm. But we've been exposed to another definition of ego that Lauren's going to share with us that I think also kind of highlights what this person is working with.
Absolutely. Yeah. So remember this: ego, edging God out.
Ooh.
Edging God out. Just remember this. We'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Second trait is arrogance.
Oh.
Let's just both act like an arrogant person. How would they sit?
What? The glasses be right here, and the nose, turn the nose up.
Arms crossed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. So you can. That's what that looks like. Arrogance and a sense of entitlement. So. A person operating out of a sense of entitlement feels like they are entitled to what you've worked so hard for. Whether that's your check.
Oh, Lord.
Your check. Right?
You mean you don't work real hard and then they feel like they have access to your coins.
Yeah.
They feel entitled to what you've... Yeah,
absolutely.
Y'all thinking about people, aren't you?
Right. We got some people in here.
About people. Yeah, you
so
work
come
with
on,
people.
Somebody.
You
absolutely.
work with these people. You're working on a project. You work real hard.
Right.
They don't give you credit for it, but then they take the credit and then they puff it up like they did all the work. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's invalidation of what you contributed, what you brought to the table. Let's keep talking about it, Lauren.
Absolutely. So these are the traits of the invalidators. So. Why do invalidators invalidate? What's going on with them, right? Like, what's happening there? We'd be lying if we didn't think about it. Yeah. Like, where did this come from? Why are you the way that you are? Yeah. And what's your objective? Yeah. Why do all this? Well, invalidators' main objective is control. So if we rewind, definition of ego, edging God out. Yeah. Y'all remember I said that? Edging God out. That was my rewind.
Yes.
Edging God out, completely dismissing the possibilities that the creators already put into play. Control comes in and says, I don't have time to wait for this. I don't trust this. And I'm not too sure about this. So I'm going to assert my arrogance and sense of entitlement into the situation to make sure that my objective is met.
Oh, their agenda. So they become God in the situation. And if you don't do what it is that they want you to do, they start to malign you, start to talk about you to other people, invalidating what it is that you set out to do.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
wow.
The invalidator is control crazy.
Control.
Anytime they perceive themselves as not being in control, what's the root of control? Why do people control? And if you're a controller, think about yourself. Why are you controlling?
Why do we control?
Right. What's the root? I'm thinking about myself. When I get in that mode, I'm afraid.
It's fear.
I'm scared.
It's fear.
I'm fearful, right?
Iyanla Vanzant says it this way. There are basically two emotions that are the big umbrellas, right? And so we're either working from love or fear. All right? So the invalidator this is the invalidator's camp.
Right.
They're operating out of fear. And we say all the time, turn down the fear, turn up the love.
Absolutely.
We live in a world where it's difficult to trust people.
Right.
It's difficult to really open up and be vulnerable with people. But if we're moving toward fear, that's how we'll be operating. And we'll be invalidating that these folks that we're interacting with have ideas. They have dreams. They have visions. And yes, let's all think about how
business.
They got something
outside of you, outside of us.
Let's think about how we can support each other. Right. They are soul children, Judith, just like you said. And Rev is saying it happens all the time at work. Yes, it does. And we can do better.
Right.
We can do better.
Right.
Keep talking about it, Lauren.
Well, that's about it on the invalidator. We'll talk about how to deal with them.
Yes.
And so there's 3 steps that we want to help you to understand.
But before we do
Correct.
here's what we want to do as it relates to what are some examples of what they're saying.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to talk about this with you. You probably misunderstood me. At least it's not. It could be worse. Talking about invalidating your subjective emotional experience.
Ours says perfect love cast out fear.
Yes, it does. We're turning down the fear tonight.
Yeah.
In this house, we're talking about love. We're turning up the love so we can be healthy in our relationships, and our community will be healthier because of it.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry you feel that way. Anybody ever gotten an apology that sounded like that? Well, you know, that's a half. I'm not going to say
apology. A half apology.
Okay. Asterisk SS.
Right.
Yeah, that is not an apology. I'm sorry you felt that way. Don't think about it. Just get on with it. I'm not having this discussion with you. You're overly sensitive. One time I had somebody say to me, "You're an empath." And I said,
I don't know if they can hear the crickets. Can you?
I know. I said, I hope so. I'm a professional counselor. If I'm not an empath, that's problematic. That's right, because I'm not going to be able to understand someone else's feelings and validate their subjective emotional experience.
Right.
But what that person was saying to me in a form of projection is that they're not an empath, so they don't understand emotions. And they were going to invalidate mine because it was uncomfortable for them. And the crickets have just gotten louder. If you're out there and you're like, I feel my feels, you're my people.
Oh, man.
Because you got to feel your feels. Yes, they're uncomfortable. Yes, sometimes we want to numb them. We don't want to deal with them. We just want to go, we want to be cold because the world feels cold. But it's some good people. We call y'all good people because there's good people out here that really want to know, what do I do with these feelings?
Right.
Yeah, just let it go. Anybody ever told you this? God doesn't give you more than you can handle. When you're going through the valley of the shadow of death, it feels like you can't handle it. Until you read on further and it says, but God is with you. That his rod and his staff, they comfort you. You got to get the rest of the story. So for somebody to say, it's okay, don't worry about it. You haven't been given more than you can handle. You have been given more than you can handle. But you, plus the Creator, it's handled. It's handled.
Come on, Olivia.
Period. It's handled. Yes.
Olivia Pope.
Because that fixes it. You by yourself, you're right. Sometimes it feels like it's too much because it is too much. Let's keep going. What's the good news? What's the wisdom, Laura?
Right. So we have good news. So remember, invalidators are what? Do you guys remember? People who stir up create emotional hurricanes.
Y'all from the Mississippi Gulf Coast, y'all know what that. Y'all know what that's like.
Absolutely. Inside of you, right?
Yes.
So how do we handle our own emotional hurricanes? The first thing that you have to do when you're dealing with an invalidator, now they are professionals, right? As we talked about, control, control, control. So what do? There's 3 things that I want you to remember. Point it out, stand your ground, and number 3, disconnect if they are not willing to see it. Why? Some people always ask me, why is the disconnection so important? Is it rude? Is it unfair? Am I just as bad as the invalidator? There's no good or bad, but if you remember the definition of invalidation, you want to go back to that,
yes,
Dr. Lakeem, and read it to us?
We'll go back to that.
I think it's important.
We'll go back to that for context.
Absolutely.
So the definition of invalidation is a form of psychological abuse that causes intense psychological pain. And so invalidation is a process of denying, rejecting, or dismissing someone's feelings.
Right.
Invalidation sends the message that your subjective emotional experience is inaccurate, insignificant, and unacceptable.
When you feel that way for long periods of time, that is a recipe for unhealthy life experiences, mental illnesses, depression, extreme anxiety. You are no longer in connection with yourself. So when we tell you to, or when we encourage you to disconnect, that's a way to find yourself, to sit with yourself, to disconnect from the invalidator and to connect with yourself, because your subjective, your personal experience is being invalidated. So you feel like, Lil' Kim, you don't really know what's left, right, up, and down. So you need to take time, right, to revalidate yourself. However long that takes, it's up to you. What you need is up to you.
Well, let's say it this way.
Right.
John Eldridge calls it benevolent detachment.
Right.
And so it's not a detachment where you do what the invalidator does and you just walk away and you don't say anything.
Right.
Or unless you're at the point of being triggered to the point, and we don't know, trauma and the backgrounds everybody has. And that's why we also want to make a plug at the end of this live to say, if you experience a sense of being out of your body or being disconnected from yourself, you may need to consider talking to a licensed professional counselor or a life coach about what you've been experiencing, so you can begin to have the assertiveness and the feeling of being solid enough where you can benevolently detach from that person. John says it this way. Benevolent detachment says something like this: Jesus, I give everything and everyone to you. I give everyone and everything to you. I can't handle this person, this situation right now. So you say to the person, you know what, I'm triggered right now. If we could talk about this later, that would mean a lot to me because I just don't have the bandwidth for it right now. Whatever your spiritual, whatever your faith tradition is, call on the Creator and say, I put my faith between me and this person because I can't fight this battle.
Right. You may be wondering, why do I have to do all of that? I shouldn't have to if this person is invalidating me. Well, it's not for them, it's for you.
It's for you to be safe.
For you to be safe, for you to be healthy in relationships with people who aren't invalidators. So it's for you. The practice is for you. So I'll read that again. You pointed out why, because your subjective experience is being invalidated. So you point out what the issue is, what you're concerned about, what you're talking about.
So pointing out would be like, right now, you're talking really loud.
Perfect. Absolutely.
Or I just expressed to you something that was very vulnerable. And I just feel like you shut me down. Point it out. Now make a decision. One of the best things we came up with is I ain't going back and forth. I'm not going back and forth with you. I'm not going to be able to do it.
Absolutely.
Because I'm living my best life. Okay?
And that's number 2, stand your ground.
Stand your ground.
So when you point it out, you stand your ground. Mind you, these people are masterful. So it's really important that when you point out what you point out, that's your experience.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so when, well, you always got something to say.
You so
well,
sensitive.
maybe he's right. Maybe I am sensitive. Maybe I'm making this up. Maybe I'm doing this. Maybe I'm doing this. Or maybe she wasn't lying when she told me I was rude and I treat everybody like this, or whatever the case, or whatever's going on.
Right.
That ain't got nothing to do with nothing. You are pointing out something
From
that's important to you.
Subjective experience.
Just as the other person or the other party has the ability and they're afforded the same opportunity, right? So you stand your ground. And then number 3, you disconnect if they are not willing to see it. So the things that Dr. Lakiba said, the examples, right? Let's go back to some of those.
You start to hear, stop making things up. That didn't happen. You make a big deal out of everything. I know exactly how you feel. Well, how on earth could you know exactly how I feel? You and I have a different history, background, and previous relationship experiences. You're a strong person. Anybody ever told you that out there? You're a strong person?
Ooh.
Yeah. Feelings are valid because they're yours. And when people invalidate your feelings, I think it's important to say, let's just take a step back.
You know what I just thought about? An indicator of a healthy person, a healthy, emotionally fit person, is someone that validates your feelings.
Yeah.
Just validates your feelings.
Yeah.
You can say to them, I felt this way, and they receive you.
Well, they may say something like, thank you for sharing how you felt.
Right.
Yeah.
And hold space for that.
And still let you know how they felt.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's sending and receiving of these messages, and we're going to have other episodes about this. So the communication
will validate your feelings.
Validate your experience.
Right.
Yes.
And then finally, we want to share with you probably the most important thing that you can do when you're dealing with difficult people.
Yes.
Is recognize your power. So if you go back to the beginning, you guys.
So I'm going to make a lap. I'm going to take a run. Because you got to recognize your power.
You have to recognize your power.
You got to know that everything you need is on the inside of you. And you know what you know. And you know what they're doing ain't right.
Right.
And if you're triggered and you start to invalidate somebody, you know what you're doing ain't right.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to take my
She's
run.
really going to take a run. Okay, no, don't take no run.
I'm going to take a run on
now.
now. Tell.
Recognizing, she's running, y'all. She's running. Recognizing your power. When you're dealing with an invalidator, remember the goal is control. Y'all, she's gone. She's gone. She's still running. Okay. You must first take back your personal agency by recognizing your power. The power that you have in decision making, advocacy, confrontation, and emotional regulation. Because remember, we invalidate, we go back and forth when we're what? When we're afraid. When we're afraid. So when you're not afraid, she's still got people's laughing. She's got, I guess she was going to be physically fit, honey. So what does that look like? That looks like boundaries.
Yes.
That's your power. Your power is in boundaries, and we'll do something on boundaries as well. And so just in closing, you guys, we want you to make a decision.
Yes.
When you identify a person in your life that you recognize, you're listening to this, you're like, dang, this person's an invalidator.
Yeah.
You have the understanding of what an invalidator is doing, some of the tactics that they use, the way it makes you feel.
Yes.
Well, the wisdom is applied, right? So what do you do with that? Well, you make a decision. How close am I going to be to this person?
Yes. Proximity.
In proximity. Right? How close am I going to be to this person if I know that my experience, my subjective experience, is going to be invalidated?
Yeah.
You have the power.
Yes, you do.
To decide what that looks like.
Yeah.
That's liberating.
Yeah.
That's the good news.
Yeah. Sometimes we're in a relationship with an invalidator and we start to people please.
Yeah.
And we start to do what it is that they want us to do because we're afraid of being alone. We're afraid of them edging us out, right? We're afraid of them going on, just talking about us to other people.
Yeah.
And, you know, what comes to my mind is when Judas was about to betray Jesus, he said, go on and do what you about to do. You about to invalidate me.
This is our third biblical reference, y'all. This is good.
I know where my help comes from.
Absolutely.
And you know what? Your faith tradition, I respect it because I know I got some sisters on here with different faith traditions and I love it. And I want you to tell me in the chat what it means to you to call on your faith tradition, your higher power. Because I think we all need to do that to go higher. I tell Lauren all the time, to go higher, you got to go higher. And sometimes you got to tell the invalidator, go on what you going to do.
Judas.
But I'm not going to take on what you're doing to me. I'm not going to internalize.
Right.
I won't let my self-talk be what you're saying to me.
Absolutely no.
Because you can begin to, listen, you can take on that person's persona
Right.
and be just like them if you don't stand
Right.
your ground. Sometimes you need a therapist to come in and help you get more confidence, set the boundaries. So we refer to this book, Nasty People, tonight. That's where we got the idea of this invalidator. The subtitle is How to Stop Being Hurt by Them Without Stooping to Their Level.
Yeah.
Because we're working on our social fitness tonight. So we want to give credence and give respect to Jay Carter, the psychologist.
Wonderful
Jay Carter.
book.
Yes,
Wonderful
this is
book.
an awesome read.
Yeah. We work from that book a lot.
Yes, we work from it a lot. But we told you if it's original content, then we're just going to put it out there.
But we always going to give reference.
But we want to give credit to where credit is due.
Yeah, I'm glad you ran and got
I had to run and get that, and I had to run because we got to stand our ground. And guess what? You got this.
You got this. So the wisdom tonight, this came up in my spirit. You know, we do a little wisdom piece.
Yes.
For me, as you're listening to this, and you're thinking about difficult people, you're thinking about invalidators, I want you to think about yourself. Okay. Queen Afua says that we attract what we are and who we are, right? Sometimes. And that's hard to think about, especially when you feel like you're doing the right thing. But really think and do a deep dive. I know that's when we were preparing for this, that's what I did. A lot of these things that we were putting together, I've said and I've done, right? I've said them and I've done them. So let's pay attention to that. And to go higher, we have to go higher, like Dr. Lakiba said. So yes, and the power is within, right? Yes. So if I address this within, I'm clear on what I'm doing, I'm gonna make sure I handle that, then I'm no nonsense for anybody else. But if we throwing it back and forth, right? We just volleying like a volleyball game. Then I don't have any clarity. I'm just going with emotions. But if I recognize this isn't even something that I do, this isn't even in my practice, then there's no way that I'm going to accept that from another person, right? I'm going to go where I'm loved, I'm respected, and I'm validated, because that's the energy that I'm giving out. That's the wisdom from me tonight. What about you, girl?
Oh, let me tell you, that wisdom that you just gave just blessed me, because we have a choice. Yeah. We have a choice. And maybe you're out there, and my wisdom, the wisdom that's coming up for me right now is going on a step away from the people pleasing. You don't have to do that anymore. I absolve you of it, right? You don't have to do that. Yeah. I say all the time, if I have to carry the relationship, it's too heavy. And so if you're doing all the carrying, if you're people pleasing and saying yes and going along, kowtowing, and put your head down and just pushing forward and taking the smoke, and it's wearing you down, you don't have to do that anymore. Just say to him, like Jesus said, you gonna do what you gonna do.
What did he say before the rooster crows? He knew exactly what he was
You're gonna betray me. You're gonna deny me.
3 times.
Yeah. And so let them go on and do what they're gonna do, because they're gonna do it anyway.
Right.
And then you focus on what you're going to do.
Right.
And so the decision we're making is we want to be healthy. That's the purpose of this call, the purpose of this live, the purpose of this taping. Yeah. Y'all, we're coming with some good stuff. Yeah. And we want you to stay tuned. We thank you all for the support. Yes. We thank you all for the love. Yes. Meet us here. We will be in the Instagram platform for the rest of this month on Wednesday. And then we're going to take this show on the road to YouTube. So we won't be on Facebook. Yeah. So we want you to follow us at Fresh Hope Today. At Fresh Hope Today. At Fresh Hope Today on YouTube. Yes. Follow us there, because we're going to take this show back to YouTube, and we won't be going live on Instagram or Facebook. We'll pop in, but not on Wednesday. Not for Wisdom Wednesday. We'll have the little clips so you can know what happened, but we don't want you to miss it. Yeah. Meet us at YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe. Think about it this way. We're not self-promoting. This is free. It's at no cost to you. Psychoeducation to help us all be healthier for the community, for the collective. We're sending you all a whole lot of love. And we just want to say, be strong and love yourself. Yes. And love each other. We love y'all. Love you. Peace. Thank you guys for coming. Much love. Thank you so much. Yes, check out the YouTube. Family, Fresh Hope Today. Fresh Hope Today. I see you, Auntie. Yeah, I see you, Mama. All right. Bless y'all. Sora,
Oh,
I'll see
you rock.
Yes,
Thank
y'all
you.
are awesome. All right,
Bye,
Kate.
Love you.
Caitlin,
Bye,
you're going to have to
Kate.
come
Love
sit
you.
with us, girl.
Hey, we got two
Shay.
Shays. CHE and SHAY.
Yes. Thank you
y'all.
so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Trellis, for joining us.
Yeah, if you
Yes.
love this
Love
video,
you, Auntie. Love
share
you.
share it with somebody. It'll be on YouTube. Send
Yes.
it to your family.
Yes.
You know, your friends, your coworkers. Just send it to them so that they can watch it
Oh, yes.
as well. Thank you guys. Have a good
Yes.
night.
Thank
Bye.
y'all. Peace. Peace.
Bye. Bye, Coach BJ.